Hello everyone, and welcome to lesson 1 of setting up a WordPress server so that you can build your own website. The way that we're going to do this, you don't have to get any hosting from any third party. You can host it yourself using Google Cloud. This works out to be a less expensive option than purchasing hosting, and in fact, when you first sign up, it's free for a while. So let's get to it. First thing you want to do is you want to go to the Google Cloud console. So we're just going to search Google Cloud console. Alright, and we're just going to go there. Okay. So you will need a Google account for this, so just make sure that you have signed into a Google account. And go ahead and agree to the terms of service here. And then at the top here, you see your free trial is waiting. Activate now to get $300 in credit. I would recommend doing this just so you get $300 in free hosting. So first you have to select your country and accept the terms and continue. And then you'll have to fill out this information and then add a credit card or debit card down here at the bottom. Now, it will not charge you unless you allow it to. In fact, if you don't activate the full version, everything will just stop working once you've used up your $300. So you don't have to worry about getting charged, but on the other hand, you do have to make sure that if you want to continue using the service, that you do add the card. So I'm going to stop recording for a moment while I fill this information out, and then I will start the recording again once I have this filled out, and we'll continue from there. Alright, so once you've got that information filled out, you're going to be presented with the Google Cloud Platform dashboard. This is where we're going to create our virtual machine, which is a server that runs on one of Google's servers inside their network, so you don't have to worry about running it yourself. You don't have to worry about uptime and that kind of thing. That's Google's problem. So we'll go down here to Compute Engine and then go to VM Instances right here, and we're going to create a virtual machine. So we're just going to click Create. And we're going to go to Marketplace because we're going to pick one that's already set up, so we don't have to set it up. That's one of the great things about this. There are tons and tons of different ones. We're going to use WordPress because it's easy to use and easy to set up. And we're just going to choose this top one, Open Lightspeed-WordPress. It's a really good server, and it's free. And you can see like the cost of running the actual server itself is $5.13 a month, and that's for the very basic one. Which is kind of small, but typically that's going to work for a static website. But if you've got lots of video and stuff like that, you'll want to add other stuff to it. So we just click Launch on Compute Engine. You can name it here, and I've already got a URL that I'm going to use for this. It's justinterney.org, but you can't use dots, you have to use a dash, or dash net rather. There we go. And this tells you the machine type. We've got a micro and small down here. These are really cheap ones. If you change it to a small, the cost per month does go up, but that's got more processing power, more RAM, that kind of stuff. We're going to keep it micro because we don't really need that much. Down here is the disk size. If you've got lots of video and pictures that you're going to be putting on, you are going to want that to be bigger. You can change it here and then the price goes up. Like I change it to 100, the price is now $9.45 a month. But that's still very cheap for a server that size. We're going to leave this stuff alone. We are going to assign a static IP address where it says ephemeral. We don't have a static IP address yet, but you do get one free one with the free account. And I'll show you how to do that once we get this guy going. So this guy's ready to go, and we're going to hit deploy. Now, this doesn't take very long. This just runs some scripts that set up the machine for you. And we'll give that a few seconds here. And this is kind of a play-by-play right here. It tells you what's going on. Now we got one firewall rule done. The firewall rules are what allow you to access the machine from the internet. Alright, firewall rules are done. The virtual machine instance, which is actually the server instance, is running, and it looks like it is done. Okay, before we log into it, what we need to do is click the navigation panel here. We're going to scroll down and we're going to VPC network, and we're going to go to external IP addresses. And it should show up right here. Yep, there it is. So this shows our external IP address and it says it's ephemeral. We click this and we can set it to static. And we're going to name it Justin Turney -net and hit reserve. Alright, and that's going to make it to where that IP address does not change, which is very important for your website. You can use an ephemeral address or a dynamically assigned address if you use dynamic DNS. We're not going to do that because we don't have to. We have a static address. So once that's done, let's go back to our machine. So let's go down here to where did it go? There we go. Compute engine, VM instances, and there it is. It's running. It's got our external IP address there, and with the green checkbox, that means that is turned on and it's ready to shell into. So we're going to connect to it just by clicking this SSH button. There are lots of ways to connect to the machines. This one's a little bit slow at first to connect, but it's definitely easy. You don't have to worry about exchanging your SSH keys or anything like that to the virtual machine. You can do that, but we're not going to do that. All right, and this particular virtual machine has a script that runs the first time you connect to it, and here it is. Okay, there we go. All right, so what we need to do down here is we need to add our domain, Justin, and actually it's a root domain. It's a root level domain, which means it doesn't have any subdomains. Like there's not blog.justinterney.net or whatever. So we are just going to do www.justinterney.net, and we're going to hit enter. And just make sure it's correct, because this particular setup, if you mess this up, you're going to have a bad time. So we're going to hit yes, because that is correct. Hit enter. Alright, now do you wish to issue a Let's Encrypt certificate for this domain? We do, but before we do that, we need to make sure that that domain address is pointed to the static IP address of our server, because that's how it verifies that we own the domain and that we own the server too. It does a check between the two. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up, and I will log into my domain provider, and once I do that, I'll turn the video back on so you can see what's going on, and we will set that up. Alright, so before you set up SSL on your server, you need to make sure that your domain name resolves to the same address as your server's external IP address. You do that with DNS records with whoever you bought your domain name from. So we've got this domain, justinterney.net, and what I've done here is I've added an A record, the host as the @ symbol, and the IP address of our server, which I got from right here, this external IP address. Alright, then TTL, just set that to automatic, and then a CNAME record. You may already have a CNAME record in here, but it's not going to be correct. It's probably pointing to a parking page. So what you'll need to do is change this to justinterney.net or whatever your domain is, but just make sure you add that extra dot at the end of it. Alright, so once that's done, it will take a few minutes for it to take over. It has to propagate throughout the DNS network over the entire internet, or at least to where you're at. Sometimes it's really fast, sometimes it takes 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes you'll have an issue where you have to flush your DNS on your computer in order to get it to show up. And what you do, how you do that is ipconfig /flush DNS, and it'll flush your DNS resolver cache. So then whenever you try to go to the website, and this should just pull up the WordPress installer. There it is. Alright, so justinterney.net WordPress installer. Alright, so that's how we know it's actually at the right place. It's pointed to the right server. So let's get our SSH session back up here. I just left it running. I didn't close it. We're going to hit yes and hit enter. Alright, so you need to put an email address in here. I'm just going to do info@justinterney.com. because I have that email address set up already. Verify is correct. info@justinattorney.com. Yep. Okay. And this is going to create a certificate so that your website doesn't show up as insecure when you're trying to visit it. There we go. Alright. And we're going to force HTTPS to rewrite a rule for this domain. That way it's always HTTPS, so that's always secure. Alright. And you may need to update your server. You don't have to all the time, but just go ahead and install security updates whenever possible, because this is exposed to the internet. And if there is a security flaw, hackers will pick it up. And that's what these updates do, is whenever someone finds a security flaw, it patches that flaw so that it can't be used to exploit your server. Now this will take a bit, and it'll probably put the website down while it's doing it. Sometimes you have to restart the machine. Sometimes it does everything on its own. So just depends. So we're going to let that update, and then I will come back whenever it's done. Okay, so that took a little bit, but the system is now up to date, as you can see here, and we've been presented back with this prompt. So without further ado, it is time to actually finish the installation of WordPress. So let's just refresh this, make sure we get the whole experience. Alright. Okay, so you pick whatever language you speak, which I am speaking English, and I'm going to pick that. You can add your site's title, which we're going to do Justin Attorney. We're just going to do test page, because this is what's going to show up at the top of it. I'm going to use my name for the username. I'm going to hide this so that you guys don't hack my website, and I'm going to make my own password. Yeah, that's a good one. And then we're going to do info@justinattorney.com. I do want this one to be indexed by search engine, so I am not going to check this box. And we're going to hit install WordPress. There we go. Alright. Now you can save this password if you want. I'm going to, yeah, I got to turn on sync for this. Yep. I'm going to log in. And here we are. So this is what WordPress looks like when you first install it. In the next video, we're going to talk about customizing the page, installing plugins, and all kinds of stuff. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, have a great day, great night, whatever it is, wherever you are.